Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I'm going to be communicating with Marie Curie again soon. A little bit of background. Last December, my grandmother passed away, and at the funeral, I asked my grandmother to go talk to Mary Curry, have her set me up on a blind date. You know, last year, a confluence of good fortunes led up to good results. What had happened was, well, first of all, I really hit it big with a girl here in Taiwan, but there was a large confluence of events that allowed that to happen. First, I was very heartbroken back home in Phoenix. I had just gotten through a really bad situation. I had COVID-19 heat wave all alone. And I was thinking how nice it would have been to have a partner so that the two of us can help each other out the next time something untoward were to happen, right? COVID-19, a job loss, car breaking down, a heartbreak of some sort, life not going right, right? Right. It'd be nice to have a partner the next time something like that happens. I had asked a few friends if they knew anybody to set me up on a blind date. I knew they weren't probably going to go anywhere, but I desperately needed experience. And I live in Phoenix, Arizona, or in general the United States. Most people mind their own business, and I thought, what if I offered a reward? Because after all, uh, most people will do something for a reward, right? And so I started by offering a few silver coins, and eventually I upped it up. I upped it to over a kilogram of silver, 1 kilogram bar of silver, plus a few other silver, plus a bunch of bismuth art as well. And finally, one of my friends at church decided to do it, but he was so embarrassed by the whole saga that he almost didn't want to take the reward. Funny thing is, he didn't know how much it was even worth. He had been watching this saga unfold, and he didn't even know how much any of that was worth. And the first thing he Googled was the silver, and he was like, "Seriously, are you kidding me?" And I'm like, you know what? It beats what I had last year. Now at least I'm feeling some kind of. I can actually go. We had been talking the day after we had gone on this group date, and I told him, you know what? Last night I had the best sleep. If the only thing I got giving you all that was to have one good night of sleep, that was totally worth it. And I mean it. You got to remember how I was feeling back in November. I was so heartbroken that I felt like there was a gaping hole in my chest half the time. I would go out and I would get sick. One day I had been putting gasoline in my car, and the gas fumes made me very ill to the point I wanted to vomit. And as I'm doing that, this homeless guy has the audacity to go dumpster diving while I'm pumping gas. Here's a pro tip: if you're gonna go dumpster diving, try to do it out of sight. I get it. You need to eat. Good on you. But not everybody wants to see it, right? It's kind of like if you want to have sex with someone, do it out of sight, right? We get it, right? Okay. But I was so sick. I told him, could you please just give me like 5 minutes to put gas in the car? I'm already feeling nauseated. I think I have COVID-19. I said I knew it wasn't COVID-19, but I said it because I knew that would get a lot of people to scram. And he said, don't worry about it. And I couldn't hold it anymore, and I vomited into the trash. I said, "Excuse me," and I pushed him away. I vomited into the trash can. He thought I did it to spite him. I didn't. I really was sick, and I knew that was going to go violent. So I very hastily put the gas pump back, and I sped away. And I wasn't trying to upset him. I was just really sick. A lot of people don't seem to understand that, right? I gotta be careful who I tell this saga to, because a lot of people do not seem, unless you were me in my body at the moment in November, it may be difficult to understand why I would offer a reward, right? But anyway, I'm glad I did, because did that date go anywhere? Not really. I still talk to her. We do have a few mutual friends, although there was a little bit of disagreement. Uh, Hopefully, we're working on resolving that. But it gave me the much needed healing that I needed for the next chapter to happen. Let's put it that way. My grandmother passed away just a week after that event, and I almost didn't want to go to the funeral because at long last I had finally made a connection back home in Phoenix. The last thing I wanted to do was to then miss out on what was to come. But I decided that when I read my grandmother's biography, I discovered she was born right before Marie Curie had passed away. The two of them had coexisted here on Earth, and I thought she could go up to Marie Curie to talk to her and have her set me up on a blind date. And I did that. Now, Marie Curie discovered polonium. Polonium is now made from bismuth. So I put a small rock of bismuth in my grandmother's casket for her to take to heaven to bring to Marie Curie so she could continue her research. And the casket was cremated. And I'm glad it turned out that way. I almost wanted to go home without seeing her urn and all that. But I thought maybe I could see the ashes to see what the bismuth became. And unfortunately, it was closed. I never got to see the ashes. But it's good. It encouraged me to go up to mingle with the rest of the family. That was good. But the casket was cremated. I looked up the temperature of cremation. It's not high enough to boil bismuth. So presumably it melted it and made some kind of a crystal in there. Well, I guess we'll never know what it looks like. But hopefully the price of bismuth doesn't go too high because then it might attract grave robbers, right? Now that I've told the story so many times, right? But, and then after I got back from the funeral, I had a short holiday in Tamsui, just about 50 miles north of here. And for some reason, I was bored out of my mind. I decided to reopen an online dating app that I had used many years ago. And when I opened it, I was aghast at what I saw. Years ago, I used to have terrible ideas on what to boast about myself. Let's put it that way. And I was also considerably heavier than I am today. I used to struggle with binge eating problems. And that's when I met the girl in here in Taiwan. I'm going to be visiting my grandmother's grave soon, and I'm going to leave a small vial. I'm looking for a nice glass container. Here's what I'm going to do. We have a washer and dryer at the hostel, and the dryer collects a lot of lint. Now, dryer lint naturally likes to attract radon decay products, right? Your dryer is spinning, and as it does, the radon in a small amount of it. Hopefully, we don't have a lot of radon in that apartment, right? Unless there's like a hidden radium capsule in the wall that somebody forgot about, right? Just like in Ukraine, right? But unless we have that, we don't have a lot of radon in the apartment, but it's some. And when air rushes around the dryer and it contacts negatively charged dust, radon eventually decays into, among other things, lead-210 and polonium-210, which is positively charged, and it gets attracted to the dust in the dryer lint. And dryer lint is measurably radioactive. I think I did a calculation. If you took all of the dryer lint around the world in one day, it's actually enough to make enough polonium for what was used in Hiroshima in just one day of dryer lint, right? If you could collect that, right? Of course, it's also decaying at the same time, right? So you can't really accumulate it over time, right? So I hope to get a nice glass container decorated. I got some nice markers to decorate it and fill it with dryer lint and leave it at with my grandmother for her to take to Marie Curie and have her set me up on another blind date because it turned out so well last time, right? So, and, so two different kinds of polonium that I give to Marie Curie. One artificially made, and the other natural polonium from the earth, right? I wonder if the process of cremation increase because bismuth naturally does attract a bunch of neutrons from the interstellar radiation, right? But I wonder if the process of cremation will speed it up a little bit, right? So maybe there is a few atoms of polonium in what I left her, right? All right, so but a confluence of good events, right? I'm so glad. People laugh at the whole saga of giving the reward last winter. I guarantee I wouldn't have had the successful date with the girl in Taiwan without the reward. I needed that stepping stone. I was so heartbroken. I don't think I would have even been in the right frame of mind to go to the funeral. You gotta unless you were me and you were there. I don't think you're qualified to speak about that. And unfortunately, people can be really brutal and not check their privilege. I have one student. He's 21 years old. One day, I have a lot of good rapport with a lot of my students, so they know about the reward and all that. One day we had been in the student union and talking about. He had been talking about what kind of information security stuff, VPNs or whatever, password manager, whatever. I can't remember what the detail was, but he says, "Oh, why do you care? You love giving your money away anyway." That's what he said to me, and I said, "Well, thank you very much, but I'm doing a lot better than I'm doing last winter. Thank you." That's all I said to him. Some people just rub it in your face, right? He's sitting on his big privilege. He still lives with his parents. If he were to get COVID-19, he'd just stay in bed and his mom will just coddle him. And he's sitting on all this privilege and talking about me. And so some people just don't know what privilege